and federal laws, why wasn't Scott in May and Biondi in May screaming for her to be removed? Because I think if they had done that preventively, this wouldn't be happening now. And look at what Marco Rubio just said. Marco Rubio said this. Now, I'm not a big fan of Marco, but I got to give him credit for stepping up. Quote, a U.S. Senate seat and a statewide cabinet officer are now potentially in the hands of an election supervisor, this is Brenda Snipes, with a history of incompetence and of blatant violations of state and federal laws, end quote. Okay, I give Rubio credit for speaking out. But these comments about her and the expose of her should have happened months ago.
Do you think they're going to be able to turn this over? The Democrats are going to go in and cheat this out? Do you think they're going to be able to do it?
Well,
and what have you heard about actual federal officials on the ground? Because this is a national security issue.
There are multiple a lot of federal officials on the ground. And there are Democrat operatives and there are Republican operatives on the ground as well. Now, let me give you a clue of who's on the ground trying to reverse the election, because that's what they're trying to do. There's a lawyer by the name of Mark Elias. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it's because he is Hillary Clinton and the Clinton campaign's former lawyer. He is a lawyer for the Democrat National Committee. He was the same lawyer that hired Fusion GPS to create the fake Russian dossier, which was used to get those FISA warrants to illegally spy on the Trump campaign. And that's the guy leading the charge for this Gillum guy who lost the governor's race to DeSantis, and leading the charge for that old bat Nelson, who's been in office since before you and I were born, probably, and that's forever. That's the guy leading the charge to overturn the election. And they come out, they do this every time. They go, we just want every vote counted. No, you want votes counted that didn't have people associated with them that were registered voters. That's who you want counted, because that's why this Elias character is down there.
And you don't think they'll be successful? You think Trump's putting it behind the scenes, which you're not hearing this reported, but you think behind the scenes, Homeland Security is involved, the FBI is involved, everybody's involved. So
I think Florida is going to go by the way of the Jill Stein recount event. I think they're going to actually find it's going to take a while, but that's what they want. They want to string this thing out. Hopefully, Greg. Now listen, I think they're doing this so they can string this out until the Dems take control of the House, because what they're trying to do is just like they did with Kavanaugh, throw a bunch of smoke in to kind of prolong it, right? So that the declassification documents could be slow walked. I think they're trying to do this again to create all this smoke and mirrors about these elections so that those documents again are slow walked until the Dems take control of the House. And I believe Matt Whitaker doesn't bite into that apple.
Yes, he's going to. You're saying Whitaker, they must have sat down. I mean, the White House, Trump, whoever, must have sat down and said, you're going to do this ASAP, right? Okay, then you're the, and if you do this right and you play ball with me and you do a good job, you may become the Attorney General of the United States of America. I mean, do you think?
I don't know if that conversation occurred, but here's what I think. I think from what I'm told about Whitaker, he's a rule of law guy.
Yeah.
And he despises people, no matter who they are, that are fooling with the system, that are messing with the rule of law, that are gaming the system. And this is why I think everybody's so panicked, right? I think this is why Republicans and Democrats alike are panicked right now.
Because he's going to drop the he's going to work the weekend and he's going to drop the hammer. He's going to get this done.
I believe he's going to drop the hammer, and I hope you're right.
He's been there for a while. He's been there.
He has been there for a while as chief of staff.
Yeah.
He knows where all the bodies are buried.
Yeah.
He knows where the bodies are buried. So frankly, if we don't see some movement on this, I mean, big time movement, and I agree with you, it should happen Monday. I don't think it's going to happen Monday. It should, though.
It's probably going to happen in the next week or so.
But let me tell you, if it doesn't happen by the end of the year.
No. It has to be before that. It has to happen in the next week. It's got to be. It's got to be in the next week or so. It has to be.
I cannot imagine Donald Trump. I cannot imagine Donald Trump allowing this to sit much longer.
I can't imagine Donald Trump not having a deal done with Whitaker before he put him in as the temporary attorney general.
Just go back to my analogy about baseball. Sessions was the starter. He got through about the 8th inning. And frankly, we have the lead. Just look at where we are with the Senate. Just look at what the things that have gotten done in the past year and a half. Now he needs a closer. And he needs a closer that can fire 100-mile-an-hour fastballs. And if he has to, put it right underneath the chin of a bunch of people to get them to back off the plate. And I think I believe that's what Whitaker is about. I believe he's a closer. I believe he's a 100-mile-an-hour fastball pitcher. And I believe he is willing to not only put one on underneath the chin of somebody, but maybe he's willing to put one on the back of the head of somebody.
You think he's coming out sooner than later? The indictments, I should say.
He has to do it before the end of the year. Period.
I think he has to do it before Thanksgiving.
He has to declassify. He has to declassify those documents.
When does Congress go on vacation? When does the House shut down?
I think in my mind, they're always on vacation.
No, but when do they shut down?
For a Christmas holiday, I don't know that they. I don't know. I don't know the calendar. Usually, it's like they don't usually work through Christmas Eve unless they're going to pass the Federal Reserve Act in December of Christmas Eve on 1913 when they want to shove a globalist policy through. So, frankly, if Congress is working close to Christmas, I'm worried because they're going to try to shove something through that that would impact our freedoms and liberties. But I'm not sure when their holiday schedule goes into effect.
Listen, I think they have to do it before Thanksgiving. Period. He's got to do it soon. He's got to do it next week and then a week after. I mean, soon. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, we're talking about some documents where they don't put lines on them. I mean, why is this a big deal?
Well, and remember, the thing out there circling is the Inspector General's report of the Department of Justice when it comes to the FISA warrant. Remember, that's also pending.
So sooner, before the end of the year, fireworks with the indictments.
Yeah, and if there isn't, we're done.
All right, Dave, your popular radio show. Tell me about your show. It's Operation Freedom. It's on Sundays, 3 to 5 Eastern.
2 to 5.
2 to 5 Eastern time. You also have a subscription page where you put up extra stuff for people that looks to be pretty cost-effective and delivers a lot of punch for not a lot of money. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I have a radio show, Operation Freedom, which you have been a great guest on, was recently as well. Again, you're a regular on our show, 2 to 5 every Sunday. Folks can stream the show live free at davejanda.com. Go in the upper right-hand corner, hit the Listen Live button. They can stream the show, again, every Sunday from 2 to 5 Eastern. In addition, I have a YouTube channel, Operation Freedom. I'm not prolific like you, Greg. I put up one YouTube video a week. And folks can subscribe to that channel. We also have davejanda.com, where we have a significant amount of free information we put up on a regular basis, but we also have a subscription side, which is 30 cents a day, $9 a month. Folks don't have to sign up for a year. They can sign up for a month, $9, less than a cost of a Costco pizza. Sign up for a month, and if they like it, they can keep it, and if not, they can get rid of it. But in that platform, the subscription platform, we have a WTF show, we call it, which is my geopolitical analysis based on the information I'm getting from my sources. I do that every Wednesday. On Thursday, we have an Insider Insight video interview, kind of like what you and I do, only on my platform. I do it there. Guests from behind the curtain, sources I have talking about issues at hand geopolitically and the like. And then we have a Department of Advanced Research show focusing on IT issues. Folks that are subscribers also have 24/7 access to our podcasts. And then we have our contributing editors section, where a number of our editors, Harley Schlanger, for example, Michael Cutler, write about immigration issues, geopolitical issues, and folks have access to that. They can join us at davejanda.com, the free side, the subscription side. Everyone's always welcome. We're there 24/7. It's kind of like being on call again as a doc.
Okay, great. Well, that's a thorough explanation of what you're doing, and it was better than I could have done. But listen, I just think you got great sources. You've been in and out of Washington since I think the 70s, helping with big
88.
Eddie. Okay, since '88, you've helped with big medical things with the health industry. You've got big sources in law enforcement at the high levels. You have sources in high levels of government, including the White House. You also have big intel sources, some covert, some overt. You've got great sources, and I love having you on. I love getting your perspective.
Well, one of the criticisms of my segments with you, Greg, is that I say, I've been told this or my sources, and if folks want to know who my sources are, if you look at my radio show, I've had hundreds of guests, and you will get an idea of the generals and the admirals and folks in the Secret Service and the DEA and Department of Health and Human Services and Department of the Treasury and from the Pentagon of who my sources are. I have other sources that don't come on the show.
Yeah.
And the reason is because they cannot.
I got that.
They are in positions where they cannot. But again, you are aware of who some of these people are.
Yes.
And have seen some of the communications.
Yes.
And they are people that I have known for an extended period of time who are patriots of the highest order. And I would like to thank you, Greg, for everything that you do on a daily basis. We started this by talking about what you did on election night and your live broadcast on your platform. I stopped when I was, as I mentioned, I stopped watching Fox at 9:32, and I had you on in the background, and I was listening, and then I had Fox, and when that happened, I flipped the TV off and I went strictly to you, and you provided incredibly comprehensive coverage of the election, of what was happening on the ground. And this was, anyone who didn't see it, I know you have it up on your YouTube channel, people should go to it and look at it again, because you were on there for hours.
And
because
Fox called it.
You touched on issues that CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox will never touch on.
Well, when they called it, I made a decision to stay up until, and I was using a couple of different sources. I was going to stay up until it was all over out on the West Coast, because I didn't see how they could come up with what they did, and they rigged it, and there was also multiple parts to the rigging, but they rigged it. There's the Paul Ryan, the Rhino Republican globalist part to the rigging, with how he left some seats empty and didn't fund the seats, and didn't run the thing. They were empty up until August. I mean, come on, it's too stupid to be stupid, as Jim Sinclair says. It's just too stupid to be stupid. Yep. And so, anyway, but I stayed up. Thank you. You're very kind. Listen, I appreciate you coming on. We did about an hour. When I usually run about a 30-minute interview with you. With you,
see, I spoke too long. Sorry.
Well, no. With you, I just open it up and let it ride, because a lot of people are like, "Hey, you had Dave Janda on. It was on too short," and I don't want to be too short. We covered the election. We covered the indictments. We covered Sessions. We covered the fraud. We covered Florida, Arizona. We covered a lot of stuff. Dave Janda, thank you for coming on and sharing your sources and your beautiful mind on USAWatchdog.com.
Greg, I'm going to save that for my wife, because she doesn't agree with you on the beautiful mind part. But thank you very much, and my best to your beautiful bride, Betty. She is a wonderful person as well. And again, thank you for everything you are doing and have done and will do.
And good luck on your, and much success to your radio show. That's 2 to 5 Eastern time. And you can find it at davejanda.com. Dave Janda, thanks for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
Thank you, Greg.